Good afternoon, everyone. We're here to address some issues in our community. Addressing gang violence is complex, and it requires a multi-pronged approach. No single organization or individual can tackle the issue alone, including the city. It requires a network of federal, state, and local government agencies, local businesses, community-based, grassroots, and faith-based organizations, and community associations that collaborate to address gang violence. The Gang Reduction Initiative of Denver, or GRID, coordinates these efforts, and through its extensive umbrella of partners, we have intensified our ongoing collaboration and efforts to mobilize resources to address the increase in violence we have seen this year. A multitude of faith-based and community organizations are committing their time and resources, including Brother Jeff's Cultural Center, GRASP, Strong Tower Ministries, Impact Empowerment Group, Open Door Youth Gang Alternatives, the Greater Denver Ministerial Alliance, and a network of pastors in the area where we've experienced increased violence. While this help is instrumental to addressing gang violence, we continue to encourage the community as a whole to work towards our shared goal of putting a stop to this violence. I'd now like to bring up Chief White.
Thank you, Executive Director O'Malley. Good afternoon. First, I want to thank you for being here. I also want to thank the mayor for his leadership, for getting us together to send out a strong message to those that are committing gang activity in our community. We will not tolerate that under any circumstances. I also want to send out a message to those residents that have been forced to live in that environment. We understand your issues. We're committed to making sure that you live a safe life and you get the benefit of the quality of life issues that so many residents in our city have. But I also have to tell you, despite all the resources that we're pouring towards this, it is absolutely critical that we have the eyes and ears of the citizens in this community. You know, there are very few crimes occur where somebody doesn't know. The police always, we aren't always on top of it. We don't always get there and when the crime happens. But I am very well convinced that somebody else other than the individual that committed the crime knows what happened. And those are those eyes and ears in this community that we have to count on if we're going to really get our arms around this for the long term to prevent crime from occurring. All right, I want to thank our partners in the judicial system. We have the Attorney General Kaufman here. We have the U.S. Attorney John Walsh here. We have our District Attorney Mitch Morrissey here. We have a member from the FBI, the ATF, Homeland Security, DEA. You name it, if the person has a role in law enforcement in this city, in this state, they're here behind us, and they're 100% supporting everything that they can do in the specific roles that they have addressing the crime that's occurring. So I want to thank you. I want to make sure that message gets out to those that are perpetrating these crimes, and equally as important, and maybe even more important, I want to make sure that message gets out to those citizens that are living in an environment as it relates to this crime activity. And to reiterate that we've got to partner with you. We're going to create a venue where citizens are more willing to work with us and that we're willing to work with them. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here, and I'm going to turn the mic over to Councilman Albus Brooks.
Over the last week in our community, people have lived in fear. We've had several incidences of gunfire, intimidation, and Northeast Denver has been on high alert and frankly very fearful. We think this is completely unacceptable for individuals to live as hostages in their own community. And I commend the mayor, I commend all of our partners behind us for stepping up to the table and making sure that we suppress this gang violence immediately through significant investment within police presence and police suppression, and also significant investment in outreach and prevention. the mayor, his staff, our partners, we're prepared to invest over $500,000 into this initiative. And so this is really important for our neighbors. It's really important for our city. It's really important for the kids of this city who live in this city. And so without further ado, I want to bring up the mayor of City and County of Denver, Michael Hancock.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Councilman Brooks, and thank you for your leadership. I want to thank you all for being here as well. I want to thank all of our partners who stand behind us today for being so willing to step up and to help the City and County of Denver as we address this challenge today. I want to thank Mike Rakin, Federal Bureau of Investigation, Jeff Russell from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, David Thompson from Homeland Security, Attorney General Cynthia Kaufman, U.S. Attorney John Walsh, and District Attorney Mitch Morrissey. We stand here together to announce a coordinated and multi-layered approach to halting the gang violence that is plaguing some of our Northeast Denver neighborhoods, and to let our neighbors know that we stand with them to end this violence. It has to stop, and as a City and County of Denver, we're going to pull out all the stops to ensure that it does. We are using every appropriate city resource and enlisting partner resources to combat the violence that has been plaguing the Northeast Denver neighborhood of late. Together, along with our neighborhoods and our families, we are saying to those who perpetrate violence in our streets that simply enough is enough. This community demands peace, and those who perpetrate violence will be punished. Immediately, I directed our police department to provide additional staffing and patrols in the affected neighborhoods. Those neighborhoods can count on 24-hour surveillance as well, with our partners from the ATF helping us to provide new Halo cameras. We've also expanded resources for gang and gun crime investigations. To directly support our communities, I have convened an impact team to bring comprehensive solutions to the violence. The impact team will work to bolster outreach and intervention through community-based and faith-based groups, directly engaging individuals, families, neighbors, and witnesses. It will connect with external partners to deploy resources needed, again, to stop the violence. Once again, we are joined by a lot of partners throughout the city of Denver, throughout the state of Colorado. Behind me, I'm going to share with you who the members of the impact team are, and many of them are behind me. The Denver City Council, the Police Department, Safety, Human Services, Children's Affairs Division, the City Attorney's Office, Community Partnerships, Public Works, Housing, and Workforce Development. While we recognize that solutions are never simple, the city team will ensure we are doing anything and everything we can to serve our kids, to serve our families, and to keep our neighborhoods safe. I've also instructed the city attorney to look at using the legal tools at our disposal, including nuisance abatement. Make no doubt about it, we're doubling down on our efforts to end the violence in our communities, and we're exploring how neighborhood design could be used to help stop the violence as well. We recognize that this has to be a comprehensive approach. It's not one silver lining or program or idea that will end this violence. So as a result, we're taking a comprehensive approach to the issue. Our regional, state, and federal partners are standing here with us today to help us emphasize to the perpetrators that violence in our streets, that if you perpetrate violence in our streets, that the consequences, there will be severe consequences for your actions. Denver County Court has vowed to provide any and all resources to ensure justice and fairness is served. The ATF, or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm and Explosive have already committed immediately to deploy 15 new Halo cameras to help expand our eyes on the streets. We are also working together to find additional reward money to boost the personnel necessary to halt the violence and employ technological solutions that will augment our resources. I'm grateful for all of our partners, for helping us to move forward to immediately begin bring to an end to the violence that we have seen on our streets. And with that, I bring up one of our top partners, U.S. Attorney John Walsh. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Walsh. I'm the United States Attorney here in Colorado. Just want to say a couple of things. First of all, I commend the mayor and Chief White for the comprehensive way that they're approaching this issue. I want to focus on just two things today. One is it's crucially important that we have this broad partnership of federal, state, and local law enforcement, as well as federal, state, and local agencies of whatever size. But the partnership that matters the most in this, and the partnership that Chief White has already touched on, is the partnership between us on the government side and the community itself. We need the help of the community to make sure that we're identifying the perpetrators of these crimes. We also need to be sure that we're listening to the community so that when we go out to do this important work to protect it, we're doing it in a way that is consistent with what the community needs and what the community expects. That is a crucial consideration that I know everyone here today has very much and foremost in mind. I also want to point out that in situations like we have so tragically seen here in Denver over the last few weeks, it's a relatively small number of perpetrators who are causing the havoc that we have been witnessing. As a result, one of the things that we on the federal side are committed to doing is bringing every available technique, every appropriate technique to the table, every technology that we can deploy appropriately to ensure that we're identifying that small group of trigger pullers, the people who are hurting others, and target them for investigation and prosecution so that we can take them off the streets. With that, again, I compliment the City and County of Denver, Mayor Hancock, Chief White, and everyone else who is here today, and look forward to working with them to make sure that we make Denver the safe place it always has been and should be in the future. Thank you.
Next. That's it? Okay. Then we'll open it up for Q&A. Yes, sir.
Yesterday at 31st and Gilman, Chief, you were there, Councilman, you were there. What was the trigger point for bringing this group together after that event? Boil it down to one event or a sequence of events?
Yeah, Chief, want to start?
Well, obviously, we got together, the group got together prior to the recent shootings that took the life of an individual. I mean, the trigger point was we have been looking as a police department and as a community, and we've been looking at what we've been doing and how effective or ineffective we've been. And it just became very clear that we needed to do a better job in collaborating with the community, collaborating with the council, collaborating with all of our federal partners and all the social services that were available. So we wanted to actually, at the direction of Councilman Brooks, we wanted to get together. We wanted to let the community know that we hear them, but we need them. So that march was about, we hear you, we're going to address it, we're concerned about your safety, but you absolutely must get involved in helping us make your neighborhood safer.
Let me just share that even prior to the incident in which you refer to in this past week of activities, I've been working with the chief and the director of safety to devise a more aggressive community outreach strategy to really engage the community to assist in our efforts. And we had already authorized the expenditure in the program with many of our community partners. And as we were going and putting the pieces all in place and moving forward with it, the incidents of this past week occurred. And so this is an expansion of those efforts, and these incidents, if anything, had us move more expeditiously to implement these efforts, but also to create a clarion call to our community partners and our federal partners to say, let's step up and get moving. Any other questions?
Talking gangs, are we anticipating multiple arrests in the near future and the use of RICO statutes?
Mitch, you want to say anything about RICO? And your RICO is federal? Yes. Yeah.
Let me say this. I mean, obviously, it's from a police perspective, it's our responsibility to investigate those individuals that are creating the gang activity, make appropriate arrests, and present it to either the district attorney or the U.S. attorney. And I think they're in partnership to say, where can we get the biggest the biggest hit, the biggest conviction for the crime that was done. So if it's appropriate to be done at the local level, I think the DA is committed to doing that, and if it's appropriate to be done at the federal level, I think John Walsh has already mentioned his commitment to do that. So, I mean, we're going to go wherever we think that we can get a successful conviction that will stick.
Let me do this. We have also the district attorney and the attorney general here, and I'm going to invite both of you to come up if you want to make brief comments.
We currently have at least one investigator from my office assigned to the Metro Gang Task Force. We are currently engaged in investigations around some of the shootings that have taken place in this city for some time. I can't really talk about too much of that, but the one thing I will guarantee you is we will use the organized crime statutes of the state of Colorado to bring the people to justice once they are arrested, apprehended, and we have the evidence to do so. But we are proactively currently working with the Metro Gang Task Force, with many of the people that are here that are part of this partnership, in order to go after the individuals that are doing the things on our streets that we need to get stopped.
What's the hardest thing about fighting gang violence?
The hardest thing has been mentioned here by a number of individuals, and that is getting the cooperation of the individuals that know who are doing this. There are eyewitnesses to these shootings. We have individuals that are shot multiple times in front of hundreds of people, and no one will come forward with any information that will help us solve these cases. And what's important about that is that we need to make sure that in this partnership that the community understands that we will cooperate with them, we will work with them, and if necessary, we will protect their lives. But they will come forward with the information that will help us solve many of these unsolved cases that are currently being worked on 24 hours a day by Chief White's homicide unit.
Cynthia Kaufman, Colorado Attorney General. To reinforce what you have heard and bolster particularly District Attorney Mitch Morrissey, the State Attorney General's office will offer its resources, and where there are cross-jurisdictional crimes, we will be available to assist with investigation and prosecution of those. We, of course, are deeply concerned about what Denver is experiencing, and as a state, we want to provide all of the assistance and backup that we can. I also want to just say a word, because I don't think it's been mentioned here, and I'm standing facing the state capitol, so it seems particularly appropriate. As our legislators have been looking at police reform issues in this session, and particularly have been talking about the importance of community policing, I want to call on the legislature and the folks who have been supporting those bills to come out now and show your faces, be the voice for community policing, because this is the time that Denver needs you. And if this is truly of importance to you, then you will back up law enforcement and you will be there for them. Our Denver Police Department is exceptional, and they find themselves, I think, in a very tenuous position right now, because in some of these neighborhoods that they're going into, they don't necessarily command the respect and the attention that they deserve. And yet they are there every day, every night, 24 hours a day to police and protect the community. And frankly, I want to see the community step up, as this impact team is, and back them up, because they have to be safe too to do their job. Thank you.
Yes, Lance.
I don't know if anybody here can answer this question, but has the nature of gang violence changed over the last generation?
Oh, I'm sure there are a lot of answers to that. I'm sure the police department would be happy to share that with you. What we're finding is that these gang members are much more brazen. They are much more aggressive. We've been through similar moments of this type of, not to this level, but gang violence in our city before. But what we're finding that these gang members are of a different breed than we have been used to in the city and county of Denver. And I'm sure Chief and maybe Fleece would like to say something about that. We're dealing with them daily.
You know, I'll just say one thing that we're dealing with specifically in the Cole Whittier neighborhood is you have gang issues right next door to each other, within blocks away from each other. Whereas before it was different neighborhoods. These are inbred in the same neighborhood, and so that's a lot of the challenges I think that the police is dealing with right now. And how do you begin to weed that out? And so we're dealing with some of those.
Commander or Chief?
You know, and just to add on, I think the mayor actually hit probably the most significant part. They're brazen, you know, and I have learned a long time ago that if you don't respect yourself, you're not going to respect anyone else. And it's just a lack of respect for human life. And the other thing that has changed over the last 10 to 20 years, social media. You know, if it's on your mind, they put it on social media and they just galvanize a whole group of people not for something that's in the best interest of this community. So the aggressiveness approach in which they want to send out messages, it's just not I shot you in the leg and I want you to get the message. I shot you 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and I not only want you to have the message, but I want to have everyone who's associated with you to have that message. And the fact then you can share that on social media, and there's, you know, one retaliation leads to another retaliation.
With that in mind, the question of fear in the neighborhood, how witnessing shootings, how do you turn that around? How do you stem that crime?
I'll tell you what, I think that's why we're here with such a comprehensive approach. I want you to listen to what I said earlier, who's in part of this impact team, just to give you an idea. First of all, you've heard the judicial or law enforcement community talk about how they deploy different tools to prosecute those who are involved, whether it's the RICO Act or the COCA Act or, you know, other organized crime tools that they can use to prosecute these perpetrators. I asked the question, and the team, the city attorney's taking a look at how do we use nuisance abatement. In terms of this house is where we have notoriously seen individuals who are perpetrating crime, bullets are flying at these homes. How do we use those nuisance abatement laws to help correct so that homeowners get the understanding that we mean business when it comes to having peaceful communities? Denver Human Services is being engaged to ask the question, are there children in those homes where we have known activity or members who are attracting potentially dangerous incidents to this property? How do we use our laws, our federal responsibility to move in and protect children who may be in those homes as well? Environmental design, sort of what we saw last year. How do we create a different environment in a community, whether it's improving lighting, it's improving access, egress to a neighborhood or to a particular street. We're going to deploy and take a look at every one of these. And at the end of the day, it's also about letting those perpetrators know that we see you. We may not have enough to arrest you, but we're going to use every possible tool we have to get your attention and let you know that what you're doing is inappropriate and unacceptable in our communities, as has been stated here. So it's not just law enforcement, it's everything being brought to the table to deal with this situation that I believe will ultimately help us stem the tide. One more question?
Can you tell us what your intelligence is telling you is coming down the pike if you don't get the help you're asking for today? Is it going to be teetering on the words in your mouth?
Let me say this. We're going to mitigate a lot of the gang activity that's occurring. I mean, we have the resources and the commitment from the community, from the outreach, from the judicial system, the legislative, the executive system. They're here. Everyone's here. So we're going to mitigate the crime. But our real focus is to eliminate the crime. In order to even be more effective in doing that, we have to have those eyes and ears. You know, after doing this for 4, 5 decades, it has become really clear that despite all of these efforts, which will have a significant impact, the greatest effort along with these are working with that community and connecting with that community. And I feel comfortable that we're doing things as a police department to put those men and women that are out there every single day to do a better job in connecting with the community. I think there's certain parts of the community that are really said enough is enough. They're willing to come forward, understanding that if they don't come forward, that's what the criminals are counting on. Criminals are counting on people being intimidated so they can continue to do their business. And I think we're getting to the point where certainly there's a commitment on government part, but I believe it's also a commitment on many of those communities. So again, I want to close out by certainly thanking the mayor for his leadership. He was the person that pulled us all together. I certainly want to thank all of our partners from the community perspective, from the outreach perspective, and from the judicial perspective. So.